However, I will share the different nuggets of truth that I got from them to enlighten you. Now, when talking about emotions and sex, and from the female perspective, it was very good. It was very good. And from the male perspective, it was very good too. The female perspective, she felt that if communication is involved when it comes to sex, emotions are managed well. A lot, much better. A lot more better. What? Why isn't that clicking with me? Emotions are shared in a better way. Yeah, I like that. You know my podcast, I will correct myself as I go along. Yet talking about an imperfect person delivering a message, and I will continually correct myself. So, communication, when communication is shared between two individuals that are physically intimate, it increases the chances for that sexual experience to be better. That was her take. Now, on the flip side, she also shared how when communication is not involved, you can have a good experience. However, when communication is involved, there's a level of stability that comes out of that. And out of that stability, you feel more inclined to be comfortable with that person and comfortable with exploring the different avenues of sex and the different realms of sex. And it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. And then when interviewing the male and talking about emotions and sex, and this is not all inclusive, and it's subject to change, he shared how when two people are intimate, it is assumed that's a sexual experience and that's it. There's no need for communication. It should be already assumed. If you're going into your past and revisiting a person that you was physically connected with, and you have sex with them again, it also is assumed that that's just a sexual experience. It doesn't mean y'all are together, y'all are a thing, as he put it. It doesn't mean that. And so this definitely is an eye-opener for a lot of people, especially in this day and age where people really don't communicate. They don't communicate. The female is pushing the bill on communication and saying, just from an impromptu video and interview that I had with her, she's pushing the envelope that you should communicate. Communication is very important. And then the guy is pushing that it should be assumed. So non-verbally, you should already see that this is nothing more than what it is. However, it's crazy because in spite of both views and how strong and adamant both views are, there is so much confusion when sex is involved. There are females that assume that once they lay down with a person that, oh, this is my boyfriend. We're going to be here forever. He really wants me to be a part of his life. Then there are females that get up and because of certain experiences in their life, they actually look at it as just an act. It was nothing more than an enjoyable experience. They will not call you. They will not text you. They will get up and almost say thank you. So when we talk about emotions and sex, can the two be separated? Can sexual intimacy and emotional intimacy be separate? In the brain, physiologically, in the brain, they come from two different spheres of the brain. But they overlap. And that's what people fail to realize. And that's what happens in life too. If you're repeatedly becoming intimate with someone and you're having sex on a regular basis, emotions will come through. And they will overlap. You can sit down with the person. You can assume that it's just in the sexual experience, but you cannot control their emotions if you're repeatedly having sex with them. Yes, they will enjoy the sex. Yes, they will enjoy time with you. And no, they cannot guarantee that they'll cut off their emotions. And that's both male and female. There have been experiences where women have got up and said, you know, this is just sex. And the man, in shock, has adjusted. Now, when it comes to emotional management, you have to rewind the thought process on that female that says, now you know this is just sex. Because women have a lot going on when it comes to our emotions. Not to say that men don't, but women, it's almost like a cluster of emotions. Because a woman can say, now you know this is just sex. And underneath, she could be putting up a defense mechanism, number one. Number two, she could be responding out of pain because of a past experience and the guy said it to her first. So now she's going to, like a shootout, she's going to draw her gun first and say it. Or number three, she's so diffused that that's all she knows. Now you know this is just sex. And so let's play the scenario out. She gets up. She says, now and you know it's just sex. The man in return says, oh, okay, that's fine. And so he goes on. in the connection, and she goes on into connection. Like I said not too long ago, the emotional intimacy and the sexual intimacy can overlap. And so what she thinks she can handle on a physical realm, she can't handle on the emotional realm. And so they start dealing with each other on a regular basis, to the point that she starts leaving her stuff over his crib, to the point that she starts calling him on a regular basis, to the point they start texting all the time. And this is what you must realize. Even though, as a female, your emotions grow to like that guy, it doesn't guarantee that that guy moves off the position that you placed him on. You told him it was just sex. So he remains on that position. And even though your emotions escalate, he remains on that position. So when he begins entertaining other females and dealing with them intimately, he doesn't think about the emotional component of you, because you hit the off switch. You said this was just sex. So he doesn't consider that. So he lays down with several other females. And you notice it. But you also notice that y'all still dealing with each other on a regular basis. Does it hurt? Sure. But who can you blame? You can't blame him. You can only look and blame yourself, because you vocalized it was just sex. So when it came to the emotional component of him, he hit the off switch when it came to his emotions. And even if he was liking you, he stopped himself and he started entertaining other females to manage that emotional side. That's why, as females, you got to watch what you say. And you got to own up to what you say. If you turn to a man and you say, this is just sex, and then your emotions escalate to more, you have to be able to communicate that and get his response, so you can in return adjust and not walk around in an emotional frenzy. And that's one of the three main things I'm talking about when it comes to emotions and sex. Just so you're not walking around in an emotional frenzy, you need to talk and dialogue. Okay, now I'm catching feelings. Now I enjoy being with you. Now, because no one coached you to be the broadcaster for it, you know this is just sex. So if you have enough heart to say that, you should have enough heart to say when you become emotionally involved with him. And then you must be comfortable enough to accept whatever response he gives. These steps are important. They are vital. People are walking around in an emotional frenzy. Women mainly. A lot of women are walking around trying to be men. You can never be a man